video. I'm Gabby, just Gabby, and there's a few things I want to talk about in this video, so let's get started. So originally I was planning to do a whole video on this manga, but instead, after watching, I think it was Lavender Town's video about I think manga tropes that she disliked or something that I actually forgot, but I'm pretty sure it is. But one of the manga tropes she hates was the villainess, and that just inspired me to write or better yet, to create a whole video talking about the villainous trope, because that is one of the tropes, one of the mangas that I read so much about, and I want to break it down and talk more about it because I feel like there's more to it. There is and there's less at the same time. So instead, but I still want to mention what I wanted to originally mention about the same manga that I'm going to talk about. Which was just called the villainess was thrown out to live in the wilderness or something like that. It's a Japanese manga called. You could read it on. Well, I read it on. Oh, I used to read it on because I dropped it. I don't longer read it after I think chapter 50, around chapter 51. I stopped reading it. And the whole reason why, and I want to explain this in this video. The whole reason, because in the next video I'm not going to explain. I'm just going to be mostly just talking about the trope in general and specifics. So here it is. Just dropping this, and I made sure to watch Ellen Brooks' video 12 ways to write better sentences. The reason why I dropped this manga is because the main character specifically, the villainess, went from being a active character to a passive character, and she basically became boring, so I dropped it. And what it doesn't mean to be active character versus a passive character. It's not so different from writing a passive sentence and an active sentence, where, as what Ellen Brooks just explained, where the action is the subject doing the action, while the subject is receiving the action is a passive sentence, similar to a passive character and this is like the characters, not even what they're saying, it's just the whole character in general become passive versus active. Is when the characters no longer making their own decisions, instead of letting other people make decisions for them, or having decisions done, or doing or following along with what is being done or said for story, and not without actively making a choice or decision for themselves. And that's what I meant, like me, for this, at least for this specific character and for this specific manga, because that's what happened. After around the 50s, chapter 50, 49, 48, around that area, the character becomes more and more passive, as once the first arc was settled, the character was supposed to move on with her love life, but decided not to, because she was told by her advisor that would not be a good idea. I'm sorry, I had to really think about these words because I forgot them. But yeah, so she had to have her advisor will give her some advice or something, or make up this whole plan, and she'll just like, yeah, that's a good idea, let's go along with it. And that's how she became from a active to a passive, because before she was actually making the voice, she was doing the charge, she will tell people what to do, and now her advisor is telling her what to do, and now it's like, okay, what's the point of reading this if the main character is not doing, the main character who I'm supposed to be following is no longer doing anything, and instead I feel like the main character should switch visor and we should be following the visor along, but we're not. And so it becomes really frustrating and boring, mostly boring. So yeah, I just wanted to take the time to mention that and talk about that. And that's pretty much it. And since that'll be so short, I was like, all right, combine this with the other thing I want to talk about, which is time skips. This manga specifically does not do it. I just want to talk about it because, especially now that Shadow Bones 2 is coming back, so I'm really excited and nervous how they will handle it, because I feel like from the trailers there's going to be a time skip from what was left, from where the first season left to the second. And so I want to talk a little bit about time skips, the time skips I like, and how far time skips should go. So first of all, there is different kinds of time skips. There are like years between sky skips, and then there's like maybe months. That's still a time skip because you don't see or they don't mention what happened between A and B. Sorry, hold on a second. Okay, you don't know what happened or see what happened between A and B, but you do know and realize that there is a passage of time that happened between A and B, visually, with either the characters or the setting or whatever, or even the story plot. And so that's what want to mention it. There are, I think, three or four distinctive time skips that come to mind. And the recent one that made me bring up the subject was the Dragon Prince. Another one that comes to mind, first thing comes to mind, is I forgot, it's not called Teen Titans, but it has to do with Teen Titans. Young Justice, I think it's called Young Justice. And then another one that came to mind was Castlevania. Two of these one of these has a big time skip. One of these and then the other two has a much shorter time skip, but yet longer time skip. I forgot how long the time skip between the Dragon Prince, and I just watched it. But I want to bring this up because the thing about time skips. Oh, another one I'm bringing up is I keep thinking Teen Titans, but it has Titans in it. Attack on Titans. There you go. Attack on Titans is another time has another time skip that I want to bring up. Okay, so the two time skips that I like would happen to be the one I just watched, which is, even though I don't remember how long the time skip was, the Dragon Prince. But I'm pretty sure, no, it was definitely a long one. The Dragon Prince. Another time skip I like was I was thinking the Prince of Egypt. That's a montage. That's not a time skip. Because you do see what happens between the time. So that doesn't count, by the way. So time skips is when you don't see what happens between. So the Dragon Prince, and the one I like, other one I like was I just mentioned it too. Shoot. Oh, Castlevania, which has a slightly shorter time skip, but there is a notable time jump. And then the ones that I dislike was Young Justice, which is definitely have a large time skip, and Attack on Titans, which also has a large time skip. And the thing about these time skips, what I don't like, is that they make me feel disconnected to a story, and it makes it harder for me to jump in, especially when the time skip happens between a long period between seasons, like season 1 ended, and then when season 2 picked up weeks later, there was such a disconnect in my head that I'm like, I feel like, okay, what happened for it to come to A to B? But it was such a disconnect for me, and I'm like, I cannot watch it because it feels too dislocated. I feel like I'm watching a whole new show and wasn't as interested in it if it had more of a time skip flow, I should say. Martian something, I forgot her name. Miss Martian, I think that's her name, Miss Martian, and Superboy broke up. There's more members in the Young Justice, and they were fighting these random super villains I do not know, and it was like so disconnected. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching a different story, and I'm missing a season. I'm like, I skip a season somewhere along this way. Another one that I disliked, and the reason why is again, Attack on Titan, is because once again there was like such a big time shift that it felt, especially since again it was like a while between when I read the last chapter and when I picked it up. It started with a time skip, and I'm like, no, I cannot resonate with this. Who the hell is these characters? Because it not only changed the characters, but also changed locations. So I couldn't get into it, and it took me a long time to jump back in to Attack on Titan. And also, I did jump back into Justin Judges, but just again, it took me time, like, to readjust. Like, okay, this is something new. And by time, it took me like weeks, probably months, years for one of the two, before I went back and start reading the not reading or watching the show or manga. So yeah, and then I'm just thinking of what else I'm going to say. Okay, and then the ones that I liked, and the reason why I liked them was again, um, Castlevania, but that didn't have much a large time skip, so it felt more natural and like the progression, and it didn't feel like out of place. I didn't feel out of place or out of touch with any of the characters. I could see and understand how they get from A to B without even showing me, like how um I'm thinking Lucifer, but that's not his name. Alucard. How Alucard became the way he became, pretty much like dirty, unshowered, unsavory, don't give a shit no more. Um, very, very, very depressed. I don't know how to describe it, and he doesn't want to do shit anymore. If that was the best way to describe it. Um, and then there was the progression between Alucard and Cypher's relationship. Yeah, yeah, sorry. Their relationship, how they grew, but not only them, but also how the world was also changing around them, and how there was like more of a cult and stuff like brewing up, and how they also were figuring out at the same time, and it made it more natural fit. And that's why I like that. I like that kind of transcript. And another transcript, going back to the one that originally brought up this subject for me, was is the Dragon Prince, when it literally starts where it left off. I mean, the Young Justice did that too. However, when they change to the next scene, it was like whole different new scenes. But where this, not only did it start with a new scene, but it continued progressing with the new scene. Like it didn't jump. It was like, okay, the father woke up and it sees, and it feels like it just hit his head, and even he feels like it. So if you feel, so you can connect with the father. I forgot the father name, but Boren's father. I think that's his name. Please don't ask me if I remember any of the names of the characters in this book, in the show. I like it, but I do not remember the characters' names. So the Dark Wizard father woke up, and he felt disconnected because he also woken up from the time skip. So it feels like we connect and we can see through his eyes what is going on, at least for the first chapter. And the daughter quickly catches up with us. So it pretty much tells us for showing us, and that's fine. For at least in this case, because it was such a large time skip, she has a boyfriend. What they need to do for the story, so you could follow along with the story, so on and so forth. And I feel like, is it the best? I don't know, but it's definitely one I like because it makes it easier to follow along, not only with the story, but also with what happened, what's changed within the story. So it makes it easier to judge us. For me, I think so. That's my opinion. Write your opinion below if you have different or you disagree with me. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you if you got this far watching. And until next time, bye.